What's up, everybody? It's Nick. In this video, I want to show you how to make a multi-sampled instrument. This is when you take an instrument, you record it one note at a time at different velocities, maybe different timbres, and after that, you can load it into a sampler and map it across your keyboard. This way, you can play the instrument across your keyboard and it'll generally sound more organic, sound more natural. And it's a really fun way to maybe bring life out of a simple instrument you have laying at home, like this kalimba, also known as a mbira or a thumb piano. We're gonna take this kalimba and record each note at 3 different velocities a few times each, probably 3 times each. After we record it, we're gonna put it into Ableton Sampler, load up some effects, and kind of sound design it, create some macros. Make sure you download the free Ableton device, linked in the top right of the screen as well as in the description. If you don't have access to Ableton, no worries. We're gonna give you the original WAV files so you can assemble this in your own DAW and sampler instrument. Cool, so now I'm gonna record again, 3 velocities on each note and 3 variations of each of those velocities. I think I'm going to switch over to Studio One really quickly because it handles slicing audio really well. Just drop in the overall bounce. Then all we have to do is right click, go to audio, detect transients. And as soon as it detects transients, we're going to go back to the audio, split up end markers. And then all of these have been split into separate clips. And I'm just going to assign export selection to Control E. So now I've assigned it to Control E. I can hit that when I have a clip selected and bounce it really quickly. All right, so now that we've sliced those samples, let's load them into a sampler instrument in Ableton. Right off the bat, I'm gonna open the zone area, which is on the left-hand side. This allows us to map multiple samples across the keyboard. So first, I'm just gonna go find C, the loud ones, and then we're gonna take them and drop them in 1, 2, 3. We're gonna take them and put them as C3. However, they will all sound at the same time if I play C3 on the keyboard. And what we essentially want are these 3 notes to randomly kind of play as I trigger them. Only one though at a time. So we can go to Ableton's selection tool, and this is the range selector. So whatever this blue icon is sitting above is the sample that's going to be sounded. So we can simply right click and say distribute ranges equally. So now this will only play the 3rd loud sample. So you can hear those differences. So the last step of this is to get the chain selector moving randomly through these 3 sounds. There are a few ways we can go about this, but the way I prefer is using the LFO Max for Live device, dropping it on the track, and as soon as we hit this map button, the next parameter we click on is going to link to that LFO. And now it's moving in a not random fashion, but accordingly to this sine wave. So really the last step is just to set the wave type to random and maybe increase the rate a little bit. So it's just jumping around. We essentially now rinse and repeat for the medium and soft velocities. And we just go to the velocity selector. So I set the ranges from 0 to about 38 soft velocity, 39 to looks like 103 is the medium velocity, and then 104 to 128 are loud velocities. So again, if I trigger it loud or versus soft versus medium, this will ultimately make the instrument more realistic sounding, more organic. That's 9 samples per 1 note. Now, I'm just doing this. This is kind of like to show y'all the process, but this gives you all appreciation for these really high quality sampled instruments. Definitely doing this firsthand now. I see how much work is put into this. Before I move on to the rest of the samples, I want to point out that this kalimba and most kalimbas are in a fixed scale. This is C major. So for the accidentals, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, so on, I'm going to use the lower note, the note that's 1 semitone lower, and tune it up 1 semitone. That's because, again, we can't really get a sample for every chromatic note on this specific instrument. All right, so let's go through this meticulous task of putting in the rest of the samples. So now I'm gonna play across the keyboard. Let's hear it. So I think the next step would be to add some sound design elements, some effects, and map them to macros to make this a really expressive instrument. Sounds pretty cool. That's a standard echo preset. Let's do hot swap and find some other presets. So let's shift select both of these. Command G, and we'll map this to macro 1. Let's add a little bit of reverb. Map the dry wet to macro 2, the decay time to macro 3. So that was just an instance of echo, reverb, and pedal. I'm just gonna spend a few more minutes adding other effects, mapping them to macros, and let's see what we can come up with. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're releasing videos weekly. Let me know in the comments what other type of instrument you would like me to do this with. As always, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Stay positive, stay inspired. I'll see everyone next time. Later, y'all.